Good morning, guys. What is going on? So, finally back in the boat, man. It feels good to be back on the water, back in the boat, back in the helm. Anyways, today we are drifting into the mangroves. No, but today we are going to do some fishing with some live mullet. That is the plan, as long as we can catch it. I got a little cast net with me, and we're going to see if we can live bait some mullet for some big old snook and some maybe big old jack crevalles. I'm very pumped up this morning. Getting a little bit of a late start. It's about 8 a.m. right now. I typically like to be out here the second the sun comes up, which is about 6 a.m., but had to get the boat ready and all that kind of stuff. But I'm very excited, very pumped up, but we got to get some live bait and get moving. Alright, it's time to finally start throwing. I'll show you what we're throwing with. 400 Calcutta, 8-foot heavy action bait casting rod right here. It's actually my swim bait rod. This is 60-pound braid and then 60-pound fluorocarbon, about 5 feet of 60-pound fluorocarbon right here. And we're going to sight cast for these fish. At least that's what I like to try to do. It's a little overcast for it, but we'll see if we can get away with it anyways. We're going to throw the cooler up on the front of the deck and elevate ourselves up like that. You know, if I had someone with me, I would stand on the pulling platform and have someone else on the front deck. But when I'm by myself, the cooler is much easier to steer the boat. So we're going to throw the cooler down, nose hook a mullet using a big 7/0 circle hook right there, and we're going to see if we can make it happen, find one of those big old snooks or big jacks here. Alright, we need a big fat juicy mullet here. Let's see if we can get one of these without them all leaping out. Okay, that was way more painless than it normally is when you don't bring a dead net. But right on. Alright, approaching a wall here, and I have been head hooking this mullet because when I'm moving the boat around a lot, I like to leave my baits head hooked because they stay alive longer. You're dragging water through their gills so they stay well aerated, and that's just a way to keep your bait alive. But that's all fine and dandy when you're on the move, but when you're throwing against a seawall, or if your boat's going to be sitting stationary, it's not a bad idea to put a tail hook into them. And so I'm going to hook them just right above the anal fin back here like that, and just roll this circle hook through. And what this does is a few things. One, it's going to keep him swimming right against the top because he's going to feel the pressure from down here and want to swim up. And he's also going to swim away from us because the hook's in the back. He's going to try to swim away. And so this works really, really great when you're fishing walls or you're wanting your mullet just to swim across a little flat. This is a very great way to do that because he'll swim away from you, he'll swim right on top, and when a mullet's swimming on top, that puts him in that strike zone. So we're going to see how this works out for us. Ooh, instantly just got hammered. God. 1 Mississippi, 2, he still got it, he just nailed it, 3, there he is, I think he's on. Big fish, big fish. Ooh, second that touched the water, he cracked on it. I think it's a snook. I'm trying to keep his head down here. Oh, it's not even a big snook, dude, but how did he just eat that mullet so aggressively? He ate it like he was 30 pounds. Little doggy. Oh God, no, one's eating my mullet over there now. Okay, let's even go for a landing on this guy. I don't have a net with me. Okay. Gosh, that hook just pretty much rolled out of there. Alright, first fish right there. There's probably like a 28-inch snook. He absolutely demolished that mullet right when it touched the seawall. I honestly thought he was much bigger the way he hit it so hard. But that is awesome. Beautiful fish. He fought extremely well. Even on that heavy tackle, he was still putting up a good fight. But we're not going to keep him out for too long. We'll get him back in. Not today, buddy. Gosh, just such a beautiful fish right there. There he goes. All right, I can be pretty happy with that. You know, not a huge one, but just a medium range snook right there. But he was chunky and healthy and had that beautiful gold brown color that dark river snook get. That was cool, man. But we're gonna rig up again and see if we can catch maybe a bigger one here. But that was pretty sweet. I do think there was another snook hanging up on this wall here. Ooh, I just got whacked. Something's got it. There's a fish. Another one. That was quick. I don't know what we're dealing with here, if this is a jack or a snook, but he ate that mullet real quick. He's keeping down. Gotta come over the trolling motor here. I'm just trying to keep this thing's head buried. Every time you let a fish jump, that gives it a chance to really come off here. I think whatever was around, I think there's multiple snook here, and that one was fired up from me hooking that other one. Gosh, he is bending this rod in half underneath this boat here. Oh, it's just a big jack, but he hasn't woken up yet at all. He's not huge, but it's a good jack. No wonder I'm trying to jump. He's bending this big rod. Look at that guy. Jack are just like one of the most fun fish to catch because there's nothing that quite pulls like them. And this dude's got a fat back on him. Oh. Alright, it's time to land this little doggy. This is awesome. Like, I am so pumped up right now, honestly. I'm like trying to stay calm, but this is just so terrific. Come here, buddy. Oh, you're not like that. I just took a bath right there. My face is covered in water now. Oh. Alright, fish number 2 right there, probably about a 12-15 pound jack crevalle. This is just another dark and brown yellow fish. I mean, this is very obvious to me that he's been spending a lot of time in the backwaters. And when they spend a lot of time in this tannic stained water, this is when they turn this color of these super bright yellow fins, dark black backs. I mean, look how thick this fish is across. He is just a little river donkey right there, but we're gonna unhook him. Let him go, man. Circle hook's doing its job a little too well today. I cannot get this thing freaking out of this guy's mouth. Oh, there we go, finally. What a little beast this guy is. There it goes. Alright, I get a lot of questions all the time asking about, sometimes I'll throw jack back in the water head first, and I always baby snook and let them go. But with that one, as you saw, I really sat there and took time to release them. Deal is, if I keep that fish out of the water for a while, or if they fight really hard, typically the bigger ones, they fight for a long time, and when they get in the boat, they still keep fighting you, so they're a lot more tired than the little ones. A lot of times the little ones, you pick them up, get in the boat, throw them head first, and they're gone. Jack, if you throw them in the water head first, a lot of times that jolt of water through their gill plate just crushes them up and they start ripping out and they're good to go. But when you catch a bigger one, that takes a while to land, and then when he's in the boat, he fights you while off, or takes a while to unhook. Like that one took me a few minutes to unhook because the circle hook was like stuck into the cartilage on his corner of his mouth. I like to take time and make sure they get a proper release. But anyways, that was a ton of fun. That is actually my last live mullet I had with me because I let one of the other ones jump out. So we are going to actually throw some lures for a little bit and call it a day, I think. But I'm very happy with what's happened today anyways. Alright, before we start throwing again, well, I'm actually going to start throwing artificials now out of live mullet. Let me talk to you for a second about circle hooks right here. There's tons of different types of hooks you can use, but I'm going to say circle hooks and J hooks are mainly what you're going to use for fishing live bait in saltwater. You know, if you're using smaller baits, you might use a kale hook, but circle hooks and J hooks, now they both have their applications and time to use them. Circle hooks are great because they basically set the hook themselves, and all you do is when you feel pressure, you want to let that fish eat, depending on how big of a bait you're using. You know, if you're throwing a 3-inch pilchard, it doesn't take very long for a snook to eat a pilchard. If you're throwing an 8-inch mullet, it's going to take a while for him to get it in his mouth, adjust it just right into where that bait's finally down in his gullet, and then you can pull the circle hook and set. So, I know a lot of this is basics, and you guys might know this, but I want to be able to cover this kind of stuff for the people this is new for. Circle hooks, you don't need to set, you don't swing, and every time you swing, you're basically missing fish if you're swinging on circle hooks. And all you do is, what I like to do is when I feel that fish going, I let him take out line, and then when I'm getting ready to set, I reel down, because you're going to take out all the slack, and that fish is still not going to feel that you're there or there's any pressure when you're reeling down towards him, because you're just picking up that slack line without him knowing. And then when I reel down, and then you lift the rod tip up while reeling still, and that's going to perfectly put that circle hook into the corner of his mouth. And so, and how a circle hook works, I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen this, is basically here it is, and let's pretend this is the fish's mouth right here, and he's come up and eaten it, and now your hook's in his mouth, and when it pulls, since it's rounded, it hooks into the corner of his mouth like that. And what happens too, you eliminate a lot of gut hooking using circle hooks, so especially if you're trying to practice catch and release, like I do, circle hooks are the way to go, because J hooks, if you're not right there on the hook set, you'll gut hook a lot of fish on J hooks, especially jack. You gut hook a lot of jacks on J hook because they take off so fast, they eat the mullet really fast, where snook a lot of times will grab that mullet and sit still with it. Jacks will grab it, swallow it, and start running. Definitely uses for a J hook though. A lot of people when they're fishing seawalls, they like to use J hooks because sometimes the snook will eat it and he'll just sit still right there with it. And so when he's walking with it, swimming with it, you reel down and you swing on them, but it's not always the best case. And then when you're fishing around structures, J hooks are typically really good because the second you feel that bite, you can set the hook and not give him time to wrap around pilings or whatever. But that's my little circle hook seminar. I know a lot of this is basics, but you know, I want to be able to help out people who are just getting into it, or maybe you've never used circle hooks, because I get comments and people are like, hey, you know, I'm a bass fisherman and I've never fished for saltwater fish, snook, jack, redfish, whatever, my whole life, but you know, seeing that you can catch them on artificials, today we happen to be using live bait, but seeing that you can catch them in a lot of fun ways, people have come over, so I want you to be able to learn. If you guys ever have any questions, leave them down below, always glad to answer it. But enough talking, time to get back to throwing. Alright, after our circle hook seminar here, we are throwing a jerkbait, 4,000 size Shimano, 7-foot medium St. Croix Tidemaster, 20-pound braid, 30-pound fluoro, and a big old jerkbait right here, the X-Wrap. We're just going to close out the day, throw a little bit, see if anything wants to nibble on some artificials before we call it a day. Oh god, no, I do have a fish on it. Freaking, I thought I did. If I have a fish, it's pretty big. I don't know if this is or not. No, this can't be. What is going on? That was really weird. I most certainly do something. No, dude, I just have a monster-sized fish on that's not coming up right now. Or I've snagged something. Oh, God, no. I snagged a stingray. Oh, that is a tremendous bummer. Oh, dude, I thought I had freaking just a monster snook on that was just bearing its head like no one's business. Okay. We gotta go be careful about this here. Alright, well, typically what I do when if I catch a stingray, I don't think I've ever actually snagged one. This is, not gonna lie, a pretty semi-dangerous situation here, because their barbs are, it's no joke. Like, if I get, I'll go to the hospital if I freaking get stung by its barbs, and it's not a joke. They people think they just swing wildly, which he kind of is right now, but they have the ability to aim that barb. So what we're gonna do, typically I have a towel with me and I'll put the towel over its tail, but I do not have that. So I'll put this rag down across its tail, or this brush. Alright, he actually just perfectly came unhooked real easily. Sorry, bud. Just sweep him off. Alright, bullet dodge right there. Successful stingray release. That is it for the day. Not too shabby. I didn't get out until about 8 a.m. this morning, so I really didn't even get to fish a topwater bite and just came outside. You know what? I'm gonna throw for some mullet, see if we can make it happen. And you know, live bait's just one of those things where it's not the most exciting way to fish, but it is probably the most efficient in terms of what's gonna produce results. I mean, you guys know me, artificial is just what I love to do, but there's always a good time in coming out, throwing a few live mullet and hooking up some fish and just having a quick, short, successful day. You know, sometimes it can beat down on you if you go out and you're throwing artificials for a whole week and only catching maybe one fish a session, or maybe no fish a session, only 1 or 2 fish a week. You know, sometimes it can really bring life back into you to catch some live mullet, get on the water, sling them around, and really get into some fish. And I only had 3 mullet in my live well. 2 of them caught fish, and one of them I dropped in the water while trying to hook it. And you know, I could have caught more mullet, and I kind of realized that, you know, I really didn't need to spend any more time catching mullet, because if you fish them right, you can make use of every single bait unless you drop them in the water. But today was fun. I had a ton of fun catching some quality fish. Nothing monstrous, but good fish. That is it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like, subscribe if you're not. I never ever really promote myself. And I feel like I should. I'll leave my links to my Instagram and Twitter below. And Twitter's cool, man, because Twitter's really where you guys can interact with me, ask me questions, and I ask a lot of questions on there about, you know, what kind of videos, duck just landed over there, what kind of videos do you want to see next, you know, lure ideas, video suggestions, and you guys can throw ideas and ask me questions. I answer on Twitter a lot. So, that being said, I appreciate you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Until next time.